Greetings and salutations. Second Star right back with some more Raid Shadow Legends. And today I thought we'd go back into the Bannerlords faction. They've gotten a lot of love recently. But I wanted to look at an older champion in the Bannerlords, the Halberdier. The Halberdier is a rare, and if you just look at him, he's very, very calm and unassuming. You know, he's just pretty basic, kind of drab, I might say. Not a very interesting looking champion compared to his clanmate. If we can go down a little bit, Cillian walks in and immediately grabs all the attention in the room, just sucks all the gravity out of it because he's just so flamboyant and cocksure, and his skill set is just all over the place. He's a total mess, a fun mess. But as the commenter said, he's basically just a toy. Whereas we go back to Halberdier, who's like, you know, not getting paid by the hour. You know, he's just on salary. He wants to get his job done, go home to his, you know, roast turkey leg that he's been looking forward to all day, right? So Halberdier, he only has 2 skills, and they are pretty sweet when combined with his passive. So let's go into that real quick. Okay, so Hue is his A1, attacks an enemy with 25% chance of placing a 25% weaken debuff for 2 turns. Okay, this is the big version of weaken. It's cool. It's on his A1. You can actually get it up from 25% to 50% with the investment of 4 books. I chose not to do that on this one. I wasn't really going for, you know, his debuff potential. I just wanted to test out his DPS. So you could do that. It would help out your team. I just didn't do it this time. But, you know, sue me. Bisect, his A2. Attacks 1 enemy, will ignore shield and block damage buffs. That is an awesome skill already. Made better by, it's on a native 4-turn cooldown that you can get down to 3 turns with 5 books. And you can buff its damage another 20% too. So Bisect is really good, especially when you consider his passive, which is Cleaving Axe, and it adds your crit damage by 40%. So that is impressive. Let's look at the total stats, because it's not reflected in his basic stats for some reason. If you look at his basic stats that he has here at level 60, his critical damage is just his base 57%, but really it's 97%. So that's a pretty sweet base crit damage, and you can kind of see the different ways you can do that. You can work with that. Like you see right now, he's in Savage gear, which is you know, ignore defense, as opposed to like crit damage gear. I actually did have him in a divine crit rate set with stacking crit damage. And that's what I ran the first video that I'll go through. The first run through Ice Golem is in his divine crit rate set with more of an emphasis on crit damage. Like he has. Let me switch over to the masteries that I originally had. Okay, so this was the first set of masteries that I ran with. You see that I have flawless execution as his tier 6, and the various, you know, obvious supporting skills and masteries that go into that. Nothing too outlandish. The whole point was I wanted to try crit damage with flawless execution, and I wanted to try Helm Smasher, which is what he's in right now, which is why he's in Savage gear currently. Okay, so let's look at how he performed with this setup. Okay, so this is just my level 50s. I took him into Ice Golem's 13, which I know is a low level, but it's the first farming level. I emphasize this a lot. You know, when you're just going through your mid-game stuff and you want to farm, it's good to run stage 13s because it's the first stage that has, you know, the 6-star gear. So all I'm really trying to do here is maximize his damage output. So I have Wolrim in there, and you know, of course, he has a, you know, crit damage buff that he can apply, and then everyone else is just built to support him basically, right? And of course, I have Chamfort running in as a hit point buff because, you know, he's still squishy. Unfortunately, the gear I have, he has all attack stuff. There's no hit point support in his gear that he's wearing currently, so he's kind of always on the ragged edge of disaster. So I also had to bring in Gorbrab in case he dies, and of course I had Chamfort in for hit points. I was just trying to, the whole team composition of this is just built to maximize his damage output, which is pretty impressive. That's just his A1 doing 60,000. Okay. Alright, so we got his increased crit damage buff. Let's see if we can land it. That was just an A1. There's no defense down on the boss, so it was only 35. Okay, another nice 60,000 hit. Uh, of course, when he doesn't crit, it's not very impressive. But but you know that pretty much, you can say that about any champion pretty much. All right, let's sit him down with 51,000. He is slow. That's another thing. I do not have him in speed boots. So I wanted him to go last, you know, to take advantage of everyone else's buffs. But I may have like overdone that emphasis because he is frightfully slow. All right, there's another 68,000 hit. That's nice. Oh, yeah, another non-crit, unfortunately. But man, when he crits, he brings it. He really brings it. There we go, 43,000. There was no defense down. I wonder if does anyone even have defense down on this team? I did this so many different times with so many different team compositions. I kind of lose track of what went where and who did what. And this is divine crit rate. You'd think he'd be critting a bit more. I think his crit rate in this set is around 90%. He's missing a lot. That's unfortunate. Oh, look at that team's going down. That's okay. We got Gorgrab. It's all good. Such a great carry. Good old Gorgrab. There we go. There's a nice 90,000 hit. Yeah, someone has a defense down. There we go. I see it up there. Come on. 38,000. All right, so he ends it with 23,000 hits. That's fine. So he does. So you see, he carried the team obviously because he was designed to do so. But this is for a rare. He did some really nice damage, and we got through it in 4 minutes with a bunch of level 50s. That's not too bad, to be honest. Okay, let's go on to. This is now he's in Savage gear. All right, so now he's built a little bit differently. His crit rate is a little bit lower. I think it's down in the 70s now. It's like 75%. Best I could do with the gear that I had. And so he's not going to, again, his crit rate, I like having a crit lead when I can. I couldn't because, you know, he's not he's built for DPS, and I had to kind of build him as such, so he's not very tanky. And whenever I ran with like a pitiless one as a team lead, he just had a hard time surviving. So I just kept with the hit point lead instead for survivability's sake. But he still brings it. And again, this is with Helm Smasher. You know, there's some there we go. He landed his Helm Smasher there. I got 54,000 instead of 30,000. So that ignores 25% damage. Is only 50% chance to do it. So there is an element of RNG involved, which is why I tend to prefer Flawless Execution just for the consistency. But seeing the occasional big hits is also really satisfying. So I can definitely see the desire for Helm Smasher. Because the big hits are very satisfying. I think he has I've hit over 100k a couple times. I don't think I captured it on the video, but when I was testing out different things, I definitely hit that threshold. It was pretty sweet. But yeah, I probably should have made him faster too. Definitely. Had I thought more about it, oh, there's a nice 70,000 hit. I probably would have put him in speed boots and just focused on good substats. But when everything comes together, when you have, oh, there's a nice 88,000 hit. When your Helm Smasher procs, you have defense down, and you crit, it's amazing. It's amazing. Granted, a whole lot of the universe has to align a lot. A lot of stars have to line up to get that happening. But, with the right gear and the right team composition, you can maximize your chances of doing so. And it's, for a rare, his damage output is super impressive. And if you have a strong team around him, you can really get through some content quickly and in a very satisfying manner, as you're watching it. There's another 90,000 hit. I think Rollworm is about to go down. He's not really built. He's geared in level in like 8s and 12s. I haven't focused on building Rollworm yet. And there he goes. 100,000 hit. I hate it when it doesn't crit. Oh, it's like all this careful crafting of gear and masteries, and then you missed your crit, so you just have a normal hit. And it's so bad, and he's especially off-putting in off-affinity dungeons. That's that's a nightmare. But anyway, as you can see, he had several like 88,000, 90,000, 99,000 hits throughout the course of this, and he really, he's a rare, and with the right gear and the right team composition, and you can kind of say that about any champion, but he's just that passive with the 40% extra crit damage is just so useful, and just it makes it so much better to gear in other ways. Like you can have him do like a standard amount of DPS with a lot of survivability, and you can kind of change your team comp around where you might not need to focus so much on your healing. You might not need to do some other things. You can have more DPSers going and really get through content faster. So this does add a lot of flexibility. Like a lot of my late stage dungeon stuff, I don't have any DPS in there at all. It's all just, I don't care how long it takes, right? I'm just going to survive. I'll put it on auto, and if it takes 7 minutes, it takes 7 minutes. Who cares? I'm going to go and watch TV. It's not a big deal, but the Halberdier does add a unique flavor to your DPSing. So I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. I'm a happy camper. And here he is in an arena match. We got a Martyr, an Altan, a Nazana, and that dwarf where I can never remember his name. But it's when you're choosing it, when you're choosing to bring Halberdier into arena, the problem is his affinity. He's spirit, and a lot of the more irritating champions like Gorgorab, Apothecary, stuff like that, they are opposite affinity. So even though he has the potential to take out a champion early, which is kind of why you could bring him in for his really big hit DPSing, he's not as good against Apothecary, not as good against Gorgorab, but he can handle Martyr pretty well. So there is that. If you see you're up against a Martyr, he has a block shield and block damage on his A2. He has the extra crit damage baked into his passive. He's actually really good if you are having a Martyr team that's really bothering you. You can choose opposite affinity. You can kind of carry through there. That's a lot of fun. So this team is like 40,000 points higher than me. I don't really play arena much. I don't focus on it a lot. I try to stay in gold 4. I just fight my way to stay in around the bottom, and don't really pay much attention to it. I just want the mediocre rewards that come in at the end of the week. All right, so was it Altan? I guess Resurrected Martyr, which is fine. I'm not worried about Martyr coming back up because Halberdier can take care of her without too much problem if he procs his stuff. Ignore defense 8,000. It's not bad. His Martyr's actually, you can tell she's pretty well built. No crit. Too bad. Alright, we got our weaken up. A decreased defense is up. Didn't land the provoke, that's okay. And we'll take her out. Bisect. There we go. 55,000 in martyrs out of the game, and we win. So good times are had by all. I guess 20,000. 20,000 ahead of me. That's fine. My point is that martyr can be a problem for some people. A lot of people don't have, a spirit. It seems to me that spirit in arena is kind of the weakest affinity. I always felt that way as I'm going through my champions. I don't really have a lot built that's spirit. Most of my stuff is magic for whatever reason. I guess that's because apothecary and Gorkarab are magic, and a lot of teams are built around those two champions. And then this was Ice Golem's Peak Stage 17. So this was as far as I could go with the champion at that level. Oh, I have it, so it's going off. Oh well. There we go. 474,000 damage. Didn't live through the end, unfortunately. And I switched out hit point boots to try to increase survivability as much as I could. But again, that's the problem with rare DPS is they don't have, they're squishy. They don't have the sustainability. They don't have the stamina really to get through a lot of late content without like perfect gear. And as you can see in here, I do not have perfect gear. I have a couple 6-star pieces. Most of it's 5-star. I even got a 4-star in there. It didn't completely level the shield. It's just stuff. I was running out of silver. This is the best I could do. Maybe with some better support, I could go further. But right now, stage 17 is his peak performance. Let's say. Anyway, that's Halberdier, and I hope that if you're progressing through the game, you want a nice strong DPS to get you through some fights. Halberdier, take a look, man. He's pretty good. You can double down on that crit damage, or you can go the opposite way and go Helm Smasher. Either way, whether you go for the occasional huge hit or the consistency of flawless execution, Halberdier's a good champion to look at, something to consider, as you're going through the game, especially if you're free to play, and you have plenty of rares and not so many epics and legendaries. This guy can really provide some heavy hitting. So I would just definitely take a look. I've had a lot of fun testing out this champion, running him through different areas. He's not as good in other places. Like, he's not really good in Fire Knight. He's not going to do a whole lot of good in Spiders, but the affinity keeps, sure, he can do great, getting you through there. Dragon, fine, he can get through Dragon, no problem. He works great against Dragon, and he's good in Ice Golems. So, he has his uses. He's good in Arena. So, he's not completely flexible to go anywhere, but in those places, he can do a really good job. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. Perhaps I waxed a bit too lyrical, but I did enjoy spending some time with Halberdier, building him up in a couple different ways, taking through some content. I had a good time, and I hope that you took something away from this that can help you in your game. All right, if you liked it, please give me a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any suggestions, if you're a big Halberdier fan, or if you don't like him, why. So maybe some stuff I didn't think about, maybe alternate ways to gear him. I don't know. Let me know. Also, Discord channel, I'll put the link in there, and you can go talk about stuff if you're stuck, or hang out, do whatever. I appreciate your watching. I'm almost at 1,000 subs as I make this video, so that's kind of cool. Big moment for me. I appreciate it, guys. Take care of yourselves, and I'm out.